My name's James Lester. 5 years ago, I was put in charge of the Ark, a top-secret government project investigating rips in time known as anomalies. These anomalies allowed long-extinct creatures from distant eras to cross into our own time.
We left season 3 on a cliffhanger. Helen Cutter, who was a fugitive from our time, was chasing into the past to try and wipe out the human race.
Our leading research scientist was murdered by his insane wife, Helen.
Well, earlier on in series 3, Dougie dies. He gets shot by Helen. Helen's on a mission to wipe out humanity.
She's gone to kill the first human, to stop our evolution in its tracks.
Danny Quinn, Connor Temple, and Abby Maitland went through an anomaly to stop her. No one knows what happened to them.
Connor, Abby, and Danny had all gone through into Future World and then through another gateway into back to the Cretaceous and then on some little kind of Alice in Wonderland trip all through different time periods.
Danny finally made it to the Rift Valley and managed to avert her plan to kill the hominids, who she poisoned.
Helen gets killed by a raptor.
This thing's just died.
We don't know the route.
We can't get home.
Her plan was therefore, finished. Unfortunately, Danny didn't manage to make it back through the anomaly in time, and as far as we're concerned, he's still stuck there. And Connor and Abby were stuck one zone before in the Cretaceous world.
We tried to then take missions forward through the anomaly to rescue all of these characters, Danny and Abby and Connor.
Lost forever in a distant past, with no way home. All attempts at rescue failed.
They were presumed dead, along with Danny, who's also marooned in the Rift Valley.
So at the end of season 3, our 3 heroes are stranded with no likely hope of their return. Well, welcome to the new Ark. This is the foyer of the Anomaly Research Centre that we see in season 4 and 5.
The original Ark in the third series was one I adopted, and I thought it was a fabulous design. It wasn't something I originated, so it was something I had to reinterpret and try to boost. So moving into this series where I had the ability to recreate it completely, I went in a totally different direction with it.
They're amazing sets to work in for lighting and space-wise. Because we're using a 35mm style camera, a lot of the kit's quite big, it's quite heavy, and the sets allow us a kind of room to move around in. And Mike's done a lot with practicals and colours and reflections and things like that that just add a kind of a realistic depth.
Well, the beautiful thing about this set, and again by coming to the show fresh from last season, having the Ark handily blown up, meant that they could start from the ground up. And I think one of the feelings was, certainly from my perspective, having worked on the last season, was there was a limitation to how we could shoot on the Ark Ops area.
Across the grid, down into the main body of the precinct, past our workstations, where our regulars Connor and Abby and Matt and Becca can from time to time listen and work while the action continues.
My concept was to crush the frame, was to change the format, which in the television format is more boxy. I wanted to squash the frame up so that you had something more letterbox, gives it a more cinematic quality, and I want it to be very deep, and I want it to be very dark.
And I bring you down now to the hub, where our new character Jess sits, and from this station here, she relays to the team on the road and interprets all the information coming through from the anomalies, and these are shown here as generics tracing across the city. She can speak to the team via communication network, phone and earpiece, and she will send information, direct them to where they should be.
These are the original drawings of the set. This is the original concept. This is a darker version and a lighter version. And the reason I did the darker version is because even though we're underground, no windows, it's really nice to have a night and day feel, which is a work and closed feel.
There's a lot of bits and pieces that have been put into the Ark. There's some fruit crates, some wine racks.
In the Ark, all the lights on all the columns are wine racks that are opened up and turned backwards and clipped together because we extended them. The whole roof is fruit crates. And the thing about the fruit crates is that area is got no structural support, and I can't afford structural support to get a low roof in there.
I love people that can take something and make it into something else.
It looks very futuristic on camera.
The art department in Primeval, they should be all proud of themselves because they've done such a fantastic job, they really have.
So the set is the set, and things happen.
The guns were always a concept of working with a small handgun first, and then moving our way through into the larger guns and into the big gun at the end.
Basically, the gun it's a common body that we've actually cut down from the big one to the smaller one to make them lighter. But there were 4 different guns to start with. The biggest being this one, and these are quite worn now. They've been used for 4 or 5 months.
The concept behind the guns is that they've come up with some technology that doesn't kill the creatures, so they can try and send them back to where they're from. So I think it's a good idea.
They're basically stun guns, and there are 3 different settings on the side, different strengths of a bolt that will come out the end and stun whatever you're trying to stop.
Originally, the idea was, I liked the idea of what was a nail gun to begin with, so I started working with nail gun handles when I designed it. This original thought was a pretty heavy, bulky gun. When we could make a mould and then remove some of the sections of it to get us down to a smaller handgun.
They all have working lights on them.
They're clear! Fire!
A new type of weapon, which is the electromuscular disruption weapons, which are designed for a range of ability to wound and hopefully not kill the creatures. So you can set them on a range of about 1 to 4, and with the target in mind, the team can decide what level they wish to use.
This is nothing like you've ever experienced before.
Okay, try it. I mean it, shock me. If I think it's an effective weapon, I'll use it. If not, you back down.
You really, really don't want me to do that, Becker.
Oh, I do. Come on, Matt. Show me what you've got.
Matt, you can't. Will you stop being such a pair of kids?
He started it. It's okay. He'll live. Probably.
Have you fired it?
Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
What we were trying to do is to bring a slightly fresher energy to the show, in the sense that we have the opportunity to introduce our new characters alongside our returning characters, and the energy of which we've tried to replace is to bring the science back into the show a little more than was in season 3.
Me and Connor get marooned in the Cretaceous and end up staying there a year and fall in love.
And obviously, at the end of the last series, Connor and Abby were left up a tree. Connor was injured quite badly, so they were marooned in the Cretaceous for what turned out to be quite a while.
Keep still, I'll have your ear off.
I hear tapping.
It's just the wind.
Yeah. When Abby and Connor get back, they're a couple now, and they've been surviving together for so long that they're actually a really kind of great team now. They think very similarly. They deal with situations very well.
It becomes a lot more complicated, and things start to get in the way.
This is the world that when they finally get back, they come back into this whole, this whole machine that doesn't involve them anymore, to find out that they're sacked and no longer required.
I'm sorry, but when the Ark was reorganized, the decision was taken to select operational staff with a military background. Frontline is just no place for amateurs.
Amateurs. Us.
Perhaps it was the wrong word.
Don't tell me you agreed to this.
It was my idea.
Take some personal time. Rest. Use the company apartment for a few days. When you come back, we'll discuss something away from the firing line.
You don't get it. All the time we just spent away. All the sacrifices we had to make. It was all for this. So we could come back and carry on with Professor Cutter's work.
There's more of a sort of emotional arc for my character. He's, as opposed to just being that kind of insular, emotionally retarded Becca of the last series, just kind of opens up a little bit more, and you see more of a sensitive side.
So harsh.
So in the new series, we find a new team in place who will continue throughout the series. So with Danny out of the loop for the time being, it was felt that we needed to bring a new character who's called Matt Anderson. And he has sort of a number of agendas, but primarily he's come in fresh for the field. He is science-based. He's a sort of an animal hunter, if you like.
He's kind of quite an interesting character, quite private and secretive, and I think Jess is not wary of him, but definitely keeps an eye on him and likes him, but isn't quite sure what he's up to some of the time.
He's worked close to the animal kingdom, but he's also, if you like, in charge of a team. So with the temporary absence of Danny and Connor and Abby, he's been brought into the breach really to take over the catastrophe, which was really sort of caused by this complete failure to bring our returning heroes back.
Oh, excellent. Tasers.
These are in a different league to any tasers you've ever used in the past. I wouldn't have designed it if it didn't work.
You need to remember how many friends I've lost. I'm not going to risk any more lives playing around with pea shooters.
The relationship between Matt and Becca is actually quite funny at the start. I think a lot of the lighter moments at the start of the show come out of that. Because Matt kind of isn't bothered by Becca, but Becca's a bit kind of, I think his ego's a bit threatened in the man stakes. He's the man around the Ark.
Well, I think at first he's a little bit suspect and a little bit kind of suspicious of him, because he comes in and he has some ideas of changing things. And because Becca's still fiercely loyal to Nick Cutter and Danny Quinn, even though they're sort of gone.
Look, Becca, I know you've lost friends, but I need you to understand that I won't do anything to risk the team.
After Sarah was killed, I thought about quitting. Danny, Connor, Abby. The one thing I can do here is make sure that never happens again.
It wasn't your fault, you know that.
And then another dude comes in and starts telling him what to do, and there's a lot of kind of testosterone-filled moments that are quite funny. But you can tell quite quickly that they're very fond of each other. And
they have different opinions on things, as is always the case, but they form a close friendship and work well together. They both come from military backgrounds, so that's one of the things that sways Becca to fully support Matt.
You trust me, right?
Yeah, with my life. You're not gonna hug me now, are you?
God, no.
He's sent here basically to work out what is gonna happen, who's responsible for it, and his sole mission in life, even if it means giving up his own life, is to stop this thing happening so that the future's bright.
Well, one of the things that was discussed was really how to keep the Ark in sort of constant communication, if you like, with the team out on the road. And one of the things we want to try and do is keep the world of Leicester and the Ark sort of in the forefront. So when our team are out on the streets trying to deal with the anomaly incursion, the incursions through the anomaly, Jess has been sort of put as, if you like, head of communications. She's Lester's PA, but is a bit more than that. She's a sharp, quite bright, feisty girl who in fact can think with her own mind, but very much keeps the team in check, makes sure she knows where they are, makes sure they carry their black boxes which record the scientific information that the anomalies generate, and basically sort of runs the ship.
Jess, I suppose, is like our little angel who sends us in and brings us home.
And suddenly there's this little quirky girl going, hello. And he's like, all right, who are you? So I think his nose is a bit part out of joint. He's like, there's a girl controlling the computers. Is anybody? No.
Now that is one serious upgrade. Hello.
Hello, I'm Jess. So good to finally meet you guys. Becca's told me everything. You guys are like legends around here. Jess, she's kind of taking a new position. No one's really been there before, although Connor obviously invented the anomaly detector. He also obviously went out on all the missions and was out in the field, whereas Jess has kind of been brought in and she basically is in charge of the anomaly detector.
Anomaly detected. Stand by for data transmission readings. Location details. Map coordinates 77425. Distance 8.3 miles, heading 270. Route downloaded to all black box units.
Becca was probably expecting someone a little bit more robust and kind of sort of military experience sort of field coordinator. And then this very pretty little brunette comes in.
By the way, where's my chocolate?
It's kind of busy.
Thank you.
Nothing with orange in it, right?
Right.
You look a little flushed.
It's just the chocolate. Gets me all excited.
The relationship between Jess and Becca is an interesting one. It kind of starts off quite one-sided from my side. She definitely nurses a soft spot for him, and that's quite obvious, I think, for everyone else in the headquarters, apart from Becca, who doesn't seem to notice at all and is completely oblivious to her.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me help you.
Thank you.
God, I'm so sorry.
No.
So sorry.
It's okay. It's just a scratch.
It's not what the medic said.
Well, just a bite then.
You were brilliant today.
She's at the hub of the Ark and everything is channeled through her, and this is kind of a really cool new thing that we have in this series, because we've never really had this before. We've never had a point of contact, so it's really cool that we actually know who to call when we're out on the missions, and she can this is also quite cool. This is our black box, and she can track us wherever we are on these black boxes.
Jeff, we've got a large theropod on location. I need a grid map of the area. 2 miles radius.
Downloading to your remote.
Yeah, just give me the biggest enclosed space you can.
Stand by.
Yeah, hurry up about it, Jess.
Well, obviously.
It's a Spinosaurus, by the way.
Thanks.
Once there's an anomaly detected, she sends all the team out, gives them the coordinates, and then monitors them when they're out in the field as well. So she's kind of really hands-on, but from a distance. But she's quite a vital role to the team now, because she really watches all their backs when they're out there.
Now, this time we've got Philip, who is an entrepreneur of a kind of Richard Branson mould, huge, multi-billionaire, can throw money at anything without even noticing, and that's exactly why we have a new Ark. It's his money.
He has a sort of particular interest in the anomalies and their energy giving sort of capabilities.
He has his agenda too. He's looking into anomalies, but not for the creature's sake, but for what the anomalies might give him. So again, you don't know where he stands to start with either.
And what I want you to do is make sure the existing Ark systems are compatible before this scan goes live.
No disrespect, but couldn't any computer-literate techie do that?
I built this system on top of yours from the old Ark. I thought you'd be excited. Well, if you think it's beneath you.
No.
I'll do it.
Great. We'll get it up and running. We'll have a full dress rehearsal.
Rock and roll.
Philip's character has always been somebody who has one motivation, really, which is the pursuance of science. And he wishes to gather the data that the anomalies generate to see the pattern, to see where they come from, what they mean, and what use they can be to his understanding of this particular world.
Philip mentions something about a new dawn. Connor. Unbeknownst to Connor, Philip is working on something absolutely huge.
There are some things I haven't told anybody. About a special project called New Dawn.
Connor's not really sure what he's talking about, and he questions him on it. But Philip's a bit like, oh, it really doesn't matter.
Philip, wasn't there something that you wanted to tell me? About New Dawn?
Oh. Another time.
The battle continues. There is always a new threat. Whatever it is, we'll deal with it.